How's it going? What's up, Aaron? My Twitch people. So I was gonna try to tackle that bigger map with multiple AIs playing at the same time. I think it might be pretty cool. I think it also might be pretty challenging to implement, but I think it's worth trying to see how it works. Before I dive into the code though, and I'll also like try to let some people connect to the stream. What's up, everyone joining in? I do want to kind of like diagram out what I'm planning to do so you guys can follow along in the stream. So for those of you who aren't up to speed, we have a community project where we've been building out this Survive the Night puzzle game. You can come in here and you can play some of these maps, and your goal is to try to kill all the zombies before they get you. And one of the things that we talked about, or one of the ideas that I had, is like, can we make a giant board and have like multiple players on it? Like we could have 4 or 5 different players, and every individual player is controlled by an LLM. And they can move left, right, up, down, and they could shoot at zombies that are coming on onto the game. So we'll try to see how far we can get with that. It's going to be probably a harder thing to tackle, but it might be fun to do on a stream. And by the way, I got a new mic, so let me know if it sounds okay. Still trying to tweak it. What's up, Shin? Thanks, man. We appreciate you. Pratik. Yeah, just explain the project. Can you put this on a resume? As in, like, if you contribute to it, can you put it on a resume? Sure. I mean, why not? But don't put it unless you actually put real work into the project. I think you're going to need more RAM, like 128 gigabytes of RAM to run Next.js. I don't think it's going to cut it. I think at least half a terabyte would probably be a recommendation from me personally, but all right, let's try to map this out a little bit. So right now we have this game that runs through 5 different LLM models, and it plays these maps individually. So what I want to do instead is I want to have a giant map with multiple players on it. So if I go ahead and just kind of, let me draw some lines here so we can get like a map going. I think you get the idea though, but do this. I'll just copy and paste this a couple times. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to have an AI layer. And we might have a couple of these, right? So we're going to spawn these players somewhere on the map. And then we're also going to have zombies. Just make them red hats, I guess. And we'll say these are zombies. And the idea is we'd probably have like multiple waves of zombies coming in, like nonstop. And the AI players can move left, right, up, and down. And they can also pick a zombie to fire at. And I think that'll be like enough to chew off for an initial iteration on this. Always start small and then build upon it. Because if you try to tackle too much, it just gets a little bit overwhelming in my opinion. So they even keep it smaller. Let's just go ahead and start with one AI player, and this will be OpenAI. We'll do like 4.0 mini. Okay. Now, to figure out how to do this, what we're going to need to do is we're going to have an initial map. So can we do like rocks here? Let's just say these are rocks. We're going to have an initial map like this. And we need to feed that into some type of, we'll call it like an action. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to have a play map or play board. I don't know why this is so small. So play board, for right now, we're going to hard code the map. We'll just hard code a map. And that is going to basically take this map information and feed it to an LLM and say, hey, LLM, this is your character. So we'll probably have to keep track of like the different players on the map and then assign them to LLM models. So that's something we got to think about. And then every turn, we're going to have to basically move either, yeah, we're going to have to like move the model and then move the zombies. Move the model, move the zombies. And then as we get more LLM models, we can have like iterate through each of them one by one. So this will be kind of challenging. I think it'll be pretty fun to build out though. So some of the things that we're going to have to keep track of, do like a database here, is, let me think about this a little bit. I wonder if instead like we just assign it a number or something. So Razmik. Aaron, I'm going to ask it every turn. So it's going to eat through a lot of credits. But again, this is just an experiment to see how it works. It might be pretty fun. It might just be terrible. But it'd be cool to see the actual players moving around based on what the AI tells you. Let's see what else. Trying to just do a little bit of planning first. I don't want to jump into coding before I actually kind of have a good understanding about what I'm going to build out. But I do know that we're going to have to basically keep track of the map state. So I think we currently have in the schema, we have I think we might need a new model. So like, do we have like a rounds? Yeah, I think we're going to have like a, I don't want to call it a game. I'm going to call it a big game. Okay, because right now we have like this, we have games already, I believe. Yeah, we have games. But that's kind of really all scoped down to levels, and I don't want to like disrupt the current code as it is. So I want to add on without touching anything that already exists, because we put a lot of work into the puzzle aspect of this game, and I'm going to try to keep this separated as like a prototype. So we'll have a model called Big Game. If anyone can think of a better name for that, let me know. But that'll kick off basically this board. We'll have like an initial state in it. So we'll have like initial board, which could be an array of strings like this. We're probably going to have to keep track of some things. What do you think we're going to need to keep track of? We'll have to keep track of who is alive. Either that, or we'll have to keep track of the player locations or something. Yeah, let's just use numbers for the players. I think 1 through 5 would be okay. So like this, instead of it being an actual thing, we'll have like, this will be a 1. And why is it over there? Okay, so this will be player 1. I could also call it just like P1 or something. So we'll have the initial board, which will probably look like this. All right, and then that will kick off the game. And then every round, we want to basically spawn in a zombie somewhere outside the board, and we can have them like, I don't know, maybe we can have them like spawn in the corners or spawn somewhere else. We'll probably have a larger map. But what we're going to do is when we start off this game, I'm going to call this play big game. Actually, I'm going to do play multiplayer. There we go. I'm going to call this multiplayer. That would probably make more sense. And this will be an action, which will invoke, call it internal action for right now. And this stream's going to be rough because it's just a stream of consciousness. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know I need to implement something like this. So play multiplayer, that'll go ahead and kick off turn. So play multiplayer turn, maybe. And what this needs to do is get the current board, and move the player. I wonder if every round we should just have all the LLMs try to run, or if we should step through one by one and you can actually see them in the UI, like waiting on OpenAI to finish his turn. I think it'd be more interesting to watch it if like every LLM took a turn. So I think what we could do is we could have a player, and then we could have like either that could be zombies, or it could be just like a P1 or something, like, you know. And what this will do is it gets the current board. It's going to determine if it was a zombie that should move. Then if it is a zombie, it'll just run the breadth first search algorithm to move them all in. If it's a player, then it probably needs to kick off the model to determine the next move / what zombie to fire at. And then that needs to kick it off again and just basically recursively call itself until if all players, let's see, if any player is still alive, do another turn. So we'll have like a check here that just loops through the map and determines, hey, if there's any ones over here, then like we'll just keep playing. Turn board. Player game. It would probably be good to keep track of scores, like what player lasted the longest. Because if we have, let's say, multiple OpenAI models playing, it'd be cool to see like which one lived the longest. So I'm guessing we're gonna have to track the scores somewhere. You know, we could just put them right here for right now. We'll say scores, and then like that could be OpenAI. It's like 1 round. Like every time you survive the night or survive a round, you get a point. How about that? Do you always take time to plan like this before you start coding? I should probably do this. It depends. If it's a harder problem, then yes, definitely plan it out. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Hey, Tina. How's it going? Yeah, this is the new mic. You could use it for karaoke if you want. You could use it for the other website that we're working on if you want. Why not multiplayer game? Yeah, I think I actually changed that before I saw your comment, so that's a good suggestion. Well, let's see. Would make sense to persist system message assistant for LLM. Probably is going to reduce costs. Not sure if every model supports it. Yeah, we could look at that later. I don't know. I haven't looked into that, so I don't know. Do you stream on Twitch? Yes, I do have a Twitch stream going right now. Do you need to understand how you are going to map indexes to specific LLMs? Going to map indexes to specific LLMs. I'm not sure what that means. Do you use Eraser.io for planning or just stream? I use Eraser.io for both. Like, I do it on my videos a lot just because I think it's like the best service out there. There's Excalibur as well, which is really good. I do believe like Eraser, I looked at the source code and I think it's forked off of Excalibur. Like, so it's kind of similar. It's just, I don't know. I like how I can have all of my, you know, why am I giving them the free promotion? They don't pay me to promote their stuff. I just use it. Let's see. Do you take time? Yeah, P1, P2. I mean, what we could do instead is instead of P1, we could just do like, this could be P40 mini, something like that. That would work too. And then like we could just loop through all of them and find, okay, like we just found a player, let's play it. But But yeah, I think we're going to have to, it doesn't really matter. What we could do is just keep track of that. So we could have like a player map. And this could be a record that maps from the ID to the LLM model. Like that. Just like a lookup map. So that when we need to like do player one, excuse me, we'll see that that's like OpenAI or something. Does that make sense, Aaron? What's up, Josh? How's it going? I was thinking, how do you understand figure in research about stuff which you have no idea about? Right now, I just ask ChatGPT. Like, if I need to do researching on stuff, I just ask ChatGPT. Time to enjoy my McDonald's Brie and watch some Cody. Oh, like your breakfast, brekkie? My man, talking in maths for me. Well, welcome to the stream, y'all. Hope you guys have fun watching it. Yeah, so this is it. We're gonna start with this. Let me just take a second to think. Typically in streams, I get like overexcited and I try to keep going too fast. So if I sit here in silence, it's literally because I'm thinking. So we will call play multiplayer. That's gonna kick off a turn. It's gonna start with zombie. So actually, no, it's gonna start with. I'll get the current board. I think this thing needs to put the players on the map in the center somewhere. And then we also need to figure out, like, how do we have zombies swarm in? Because they have to fight zombies, and it needs to be like waves of zombies. And so I'm curious when we would do that. But I could be scope creeping. Again, remind yourself that you need to do the simplest thing first. And the simplest thing we could do is just start with one zombie here. That's it. We'll start with a zombie. We'll pick a random center location for the player. And then we will run the game and see what happens. And we're going to start off with the turn being P1. And then that should see that we're doing P1. It's going to ask the LLM model, which direction should I move? If you even want to move, what zombie should you shoot at? So that's probably some, yeah, I already have that laid out. They're still alive. I think that's enough. I think that's enough to actually get started. And let's just dive into it. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to make a new multiplayer game. And we're going to go ahead and just do this. Now let's look at our schema that we have over here, and we want to have the board. So it's going to keep track of the board state. And then scores. That's okay, that's not important. Scores is not important right now. Again, prune back scope, reduce scope, so that you can focus on the core logic of what's important. I think player map would be important here. So we're going to have a, what do we want? Do we want an array of objects? And this could be an LLM model. I think we have like a slug. Models is a slug. Yeah, I'll say like model slug. No, we could just do a model ID. By the way, what you're looking at is a convex schema. I'm using convex for this entire project, like all the backend logic and the database. And so the idea is that you come in here, you define your tables, and when you save this file, it's going to go ahead and create those tables. You can start storing stuff in them. So actually, since I saved this file, I should see a multiplayer game. Here we go. But we want the board state, so every time the game runs, we can increment or change the current state, and then we can keep on running it. Now for the player map, I think it would make sense to just, for right now, we'll keep an array, and we'll have a model ID matched to the player token, and this will be a string. Okay, so this will be like the P1, P2, P3 on the actual like grid, And then when the game runs, we're going to look at the grid and say, oh, we found a P2. Let's look up the player map and try to figure out like what model we need to run. Again, this is just what we're experimenting. We're trying to figure out this is what we want to do. And I think it's a good approach forward. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to make a multiplayer game file over here. And we want to make a start multiplayer game internal action like this. It actually might need to be a mutation. I'll do an internal mutation for right now. And do this. I'll check chat in 2 seconds. Just let me try to get this out. So we want to create a new game. So we could just say const game ID is equal to wait context db dot insert games dot, what do we want? Current level. Okay, no, I don't want games. I want multiplayer game. Board state. This is where we're going to hard code a board, which we'll come back and do in a second. Player map. We are going to make an array of model ID will be, we want OpenAI. So we're going to do this one. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah. Just to make it obvious, I'm going to say const hard coded model ID. And then the player token, we're just going to hard code this as P1. So hard coded player model. Oh, token, player token is. What else are we missing here? Players. Why do I have players on there? I don't think I need that. Let me delete that. Okay, so what we're building out right now is this. We want the ability to come into my Convex dashboard, and I want to go ahead and just say like start multiplayer game, and I can manually run this with whatever arguments I want. And since it's an internal mutation, no one on the public internet can hit this. This is only accessible by me or my other internal Convex functions that could invoke it if they want to. Which is really good for prototyping, because I could literally deploy this to prod right now, and the only way this could be ran is like if I came into prod and ran it. But let's look at the seed. We have the ability to seed the maps. I think if I go to maps, I'll check chat in a bit. I know I haven't checked in like 5 minutes. You guys are getting a little anxious, I bet. But we can start with a simple grid here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this one. It looks big enough to maybe support a couple of players. And then for all the R's, oh no, I grabbed too many. And then for the zombies, again, we're going to keep this simple. We'll say this is a zombie, and then we're going to go ahead and just hard code P1 right there. In fact, I should probably use the hard coded token. Going to make this map look terrible. Crap. You know, I won't hard code it because it's just going to make it very hard to even read this map. And honestly, I think just keeping it 1 might be better, because it just keeps the map symmetric and it's easier for me to look at. And we only have 5 AI models, so the highest number we're going to go to is 5. So I think it's okay just to put a 1 here. Yeah, let's just keep it simple. Let's just run this and make sure this works. Okay, so when I save files in Convex, it's going to basically recompile a file. It redeploys it out to your dev environment, and then you can run it. So now I can actually run this. And if I were to go and just say, I don't think this thing takes any arguments. So I'm just going to run it, go back to our data over here, and I'm going to go to multiplayer games. Okay, so now we have a multiplayer game that was created with the board state, and then we have player 1 right here, and we want to basically let that player move around and potentially shoot at zombies. Okay. Okay, so we're making some progress. Is this SQL database? No, I'm using Convex. We should ask the LLM first, where do they want to put the player? And then each turn ask what direction to move. Yeah, we could do that. Again, I'm just trying to make this, do the simplest thing first, which is like we have a hard-coded map and then let the game play through. I haven't checked out the updates to VS Code. But yeah, I keep seeing that they're basically just taking cursor features and adding it in. But I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they're owned by Microsoft, right? So they have a lot of resources where they could easily just improve it. And personally, I would much rather not have to use a fork of VS Code. Not that I don't trust the people working on Cursor, but if they fork it and they add something to it that like steals all your code or something, or your tokens, that probably wouldn't be good. Wow. You and your spicy nuggets, huh? Okay, so let's try this out. So we are implementing this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this green because I think it's done. This one, I'm going to mark it red. I haven't done it yet. So we basically made the multiplayer game, but now we need to kick off some type of action that just like recursively runs itself over time. So one thing we can do is we can do, I'm going to make a function down here, and I will say run multiplayer game turn. Maybe, I don't know. This will be an internal action, I think. This needs to be an internal action instead. And then we can invoke it over here. We can say internal dot multiplayer game, run multiplayer game turn. And this needs to take in a game ID. And I need to define that over here. Here we go. Imported the wrong V. Here we go. So what I'm doing over here is we're actually passing in some arguments. Multiplayer game ID. That gets sent over. And then also the turn. We probably need to know whose turn it is. So we're going to say turn. And then that'll be a v.string for right now. And what we need to do at this point is we're going to have to grab the current board state. So we're going to have to fetch the board. I'll just say multiplayer game. Now we don't have a way to grab that stuff from the database inside an action itself. So I'm going to make one over here. It's called like get multiplayer game. It's going to be an internal query. And yeah, that should be good. So we should be able to get that. And I'll say run query. And then we'll say internal player game, get multiplayer game, pass it some of that stuff. Okay. It's a little interesting how you do this in Convex, but it's kind of there for a reason. Like actions can't access the database at all. So they have to call either queries or call mutations to get what they want. So we're just going to basically call that query. Another thing you could do is you could have the whole game object passed in as an argument. But this way works fine. So we're going to get the game, and if it doesn't exist, probably throw an error. And then what do we want to do? We want to check whose turn it is. And I'm going to say const turn is equal to multiplayer game. Oh yeah, turns passed in as an arg. Okay. Guess I could just do this. That'll clean it up a little bit. Yeah, so if the turn is equal to, and then we'll say P1, Yeah, I'll just do Z for zombies. Else if. Okay, so it's either going to be a zombie playing, it's either going to be zombies playing or individual players. This I need to rethink this a little bit. Sometimes it helps to visualize, like pretend like you have more players so you understand like what you're kind of designing for. But somehow I need to know that when you're at the very last player, you need to then make the turn be zombies. Okay, so another thing that I like to do as well is just add comments. So like right here, we basically need to say, figure out whose turn it is and play their turn. And then down here, I need to say, if any players are alive, schedule the next turn. And then we'll have to say like await context scheduler and then like kick off the game again. So this is what we're doing. We're basically kicking off the game again. We do want to add a delay because I don't want this to infinitely just, I don't know, eat up all my credits or something. So I'll say turn delay. And for right now, I'll do like 5 seconds just so that it delays it. That's pretty cool. In Convex, you can actually like schedule stuff to run at a future point in time. So I'm saying in 5 seconds, go ahead and kick off the next turn. And then you'll see here, we check if the turns are zombies, we switch to, I'm going to hard code this to P1 right now. And then otherwise we'll switch back to zombie. Again, I haven't implemented the solution for multiple players. I'm just trying to implement the easiest thing first. That's how I like to do coding. And then I come back, refactor, add in more functionality, and keep on doing that process. I find that if you start off with too much scope, it's just a little bit too overwhelming. Or you can sit back and try to plan for a long time. But both approaches kind of work. So what do we want to do here? So we get the game, we go through the multiplayer map. What is this? This code doesn't seem right. So here we're going to have to say to do run the BFS algorithm on the map to move the zombies. And then if it's down here, we're going to say to do run or ask LLM look up. Actually, let me rephrase this. Based on whose turn it is, look up the LLM model. Run the LLM model over the player's location. The LLM model should return the next move and which zombie it should shoot. Okay. And then finally, we need to update the board state with the new player location. Oh yeah, I have to think about zombie health. Okay, so we might have to do just 1 health per zombie at this point to keep this simple. This would also be update the game board state with the new zombie location. Cody the Convex ambassador. Yeah, I mean this stream technically is sponsored by Convex. I should have mentioned that at the start. They did sponsor this community project, so I'm investing time making videos and doing streams on it and kind of promoting it. But at the same time, I'm having fun building it, so it's like a win-win, you know. I use Convex for all my side projects anyway because it's just until someone convinces me there's something better, like I'm just gonna keep using it. See, so let's take a step back. Where are we right now? We just implemented this. We implemented this. And we are basically implementing this. It's kind of done. Not really. I'll make it yellow so like we can kind of visually see that it's, you know, needs to be tweaked a little bit. So figure out whose turn it is. Yep, we already did that. Run the BFS algorithm. Well, yeah, let's just go ahead and run through this sequentially. The first thing we need to do is we have like all this game logic. I don't know where that was moved to. I think we probably moved it somewhere. Yeah, simulators, here it is. Forgot what it's called, honestly. Like, I know we load up. I think it's called Zombie Survival. It's a class. Yeah, so somewhere we basically new up one of these things, and we could look at the specs. So this will have to be tweaked a little bit, because right now I think it plays for the player. So this will be very, very, I don't know if I'm going to copy all this code over and just gut out the stuff that we don't need. I just want the ability for the zombies to move around and also kill players. So this will be interesting. But I'm guessing 90% of this code I need to keep, especially if we start adding in new stuff. So let's just start with this, and we'll kind of like see how we solve it over time. So like from what I envision, we need to pass it the current grid, and then we need to basically do one simulation tick. But that simulation should only move the zombies, I think. Let's see, let's grab the game state, board state. Okay. I'm going to be thinking out loud, but you guys can put stuff in chat if you think of a better approach. Yeah, I think there's a way that we move all the zombies. I think if I just had to move zombies, that's it. As the zombies move, they would probably kill any players that are on the board. And then we just want to like update the game state, right? There's a nice long mutation we could use. So we are going to say await context run mutation internal dot multiplayer game dot this. Go ahead and just let AI do all the work for us. And what we want to do is we're trying to pass in, is there like a get snapshot? That's not it. It's state, I think. Nice. So again, this is like pseudocode. I don't know if this is going to work, but we make a new map based on the current game state. And then we say, hey, just move all the zombies, let them kill the players, do walk over landmines, etc. And then we should have a new game state where the players might be missing from the board. And then we're going to go ahead and kick this off again. And it just keeps doing that process of moving the zombies if it's the zombies' turn. Does that seem fine if you guys are even paying attention in chat? In step function, you could just comment the line where it says player.shoot or something, step skip player. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. So now we're going to say map.step, and we will try to understand this code real quick. This stuff, clear changes. What is that doing? Player clear changes. Where is changes being used? That's over here. Add a change, clear a change, get a change, as change. Hit kill the wall. Okay, so I don't. It seems like these changes are actually like visible sprite states, right? Walking change. Yeah, I would say maybe rename change to something else. I don't, change is it's a very generic term. Like, what are these representing? Are these like sprite types? It walked. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked. I know I think Aaron worked on this and he's watching this stream. Maybe it's because I'm not familiar with the code. I just think the word change could probably be something else. So like someone reading it knows that that's something. Maybe I'm just slow. But anyway, what Aaron's suggesting is we could actually just modify this function because this function already does all the zombies. And in fact, what we could potentially do is we could make a function here called like, say, private move all zombies. Actually, I'm gonna make this public, and literally we could do that. Zombie get health, initial health. What's initial health useful? Zombies map. Oh, it's an array. Oh, I see. So Aaron said that, hey, you should just actually just like pass in a skip player boolean or something. And then like you could just like wrap this. What I did instead is I moved this functionality, like the logic that moves all the zombies. I just moved it to a public function and we could just call that when we need it. So now like I don't have to have flags passed in. I don't know what approach is better personally. Like when you start adding like random flags to stuff, it can get kind of confusing, but you could also argue that this is like an internal private function that shouldn't be public. But let's just get it working, right? So I think this will work. And then we'll run it. And then what this could do is nothing for now. I think this is actually good enough to actually run. Like we could actually play a game with this. But if we wanted to visualize this, I think we could down here. I'm going to say zombies moved, and then we'll say map.getState. I don't know if this needs to be like a stringified thing. We're going to run this in a second, though. What is this? Why is this complaining? Earn. We're going to hard code it to P1. We should probably like not call it P1. Because I think we have it denoted as 1, which means that this should probably not be. Okay, file's green. It should be saving and compiling. It would be nice to visualize this. We'll do the console log real quick so we can actually see this, but I can actually kick off this start multiplayer game, and then I'll go to my logs, and then I should be able to basically watch these logs come in. Config has no player. Mm-mm. 136, that's interesting. Config has no player. It's because that I didn't put the player on the map, did I? You know, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna put this so it's easier. I think the issue is you can't initialize a game unless a player's there. But we're trying to like repurpose some of the functions that were used inside of this game thing for a completely different type of game. Aaron here? Aaron, my question to you is this game different enough that I should just copy and paste the whole folder? Or should I be modifying the current thing to support a different game mode? It kind of feels like it's a completely different type of game, and it would make more sense to just like copy paste this whole folder. Let me not get down that path. Let's just hack at it. And in the constructor itself, which I would probably, here's something I would do. The constructor should probably be like the first function that you see when you're looking at a class. I guess you could put static stuff at the top too, but arrival map is empty. So I just have to read through this code and understand what it's doing, and then if I want to try to add in configuration to change game mode logic, or just copy and paste all the code and make it reusable somehow. Because right now it takes in a config, but like I could say map options or game options, and this could be optional, and then it will be is multiplayer is a boolean. Map is empty. Map length. Oops. Config contains multiple players. Case P. So I could either say case 1, 2, 3, 4 and like just support all those and then make players at those. Yeah, maybe that would be the easiest approach. So I'm gonna move this thing down and I'll just say case 1. Okay, well, we just need 1 for right now. Is this how, I haven't done a case statement in so long. I usually use if statements. Is this how you do a proper case statement? This is how bad of a developer I am. Yeah, okay. So I thought it was. Okay, so again, I don't really like this. I'll leave a little comment. But we'll get it working. I think that'll allow us to at least get past that error. And if you look at the code, is it running right now? I think I need to rerun it. Okay, seems like it's working. Wait, why is there a P here? I think the zombie is moving. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the zombie's definitely going to get towards the player and then eventually kill him. But I think the game state actually changed my 1 back to a P. which is not good because we want to not have it like, yeah, now it's just going to run forever. So because this is infinitely going to run forever, we have to go in here and like stop this so that it doesn't keep scheduling stuff out. Yeah, this one we should probably actually say like const zombie. If I put the game state here, and then I said if map dot is just finished, if the player is dead and every zombie is dead. Yeah, this is, so this logic doesn't think that there'll be more than one player, which is fine for right now, but anyway, if the map is not finished, we will just go ahead and run this again. And that'll at least allow it to stop. And then the second thing we should do is, I'm going to make this simpler. Like, let's not start with such a large map. We'll do like the smallest map possible. Again, just going off that philosophy of like, can you simplify what you're trying to solve so it's easier to solve? But yeah, this should be pretty good. This is moving the zombie every turn, and then it tries to either move the player, which we'll do in a little bit. Do that in a little bit. What else was I doing? I'm just using an application called Clack, and it lets you kind of emulate a mechanical keyboard as you type. What's up, Daria? Welcome. Yeah, I don't know what the best approach is going forward. It feels like we are like throwing in a bunch of hacks into the game, and it wasn't originally created to even know about this, right? So it might be much better to just copy and paste this whole thing, and this will be called like a multiplayer zombie game. And then you could potentially make a shared libs folder that has like some of the shared things, like a box. Could that be reused between the games? I think so. Could a landmine? Probably. Probably this as well. It just seems like the only thing that really changes is the internal logic of like this. So actually what we could do is just copy and paste this file and then change it to be multiplayer. As long as none of this stuff has knowledge of like single player only, that could be an approach going forward. But I will tell you another trick about going down the rabbit hole. You might see something and be like, oh, let's refactor all this, let's change this, and then 5 hours later, you haven't even done the original thing you're trying to do. Just have it play a really simple game. And so I think we have that working. I just want to be able to visualize it on a board somewhere. So we're going to go back to our game, and we're going to add another page here, and then we're going to have the board as it's being updated and played. We're going to display it. But again, before we can do that, let me just make a to-do. I'm going to say display the game board, multiplayer game board in a UI somewhere, okay? This is our to-dos. Sometimes if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed with what you got to do, a little to-do list can help stay focused, and then just always do the first thing. So the first thing we want to do is fix the get state method to return the ones or whatever it was before. So get state, what this is doing is looping through, and it somehow entity at config. What the heck is this? Yeah, this looks like the method I have to change, and then I'm going to say else This expects, okay, this is going to be an issue. This dot type entity. I think I might say this dot entity token, or if it's not defined, we will just fall back on P. So we can go back to the entity. I think we have a player entity somewhere. We're going to say public maybe I'll call it player token, not entity token. Let me cook. Just let me cook. I'll figure this out. I know you guys probably already have it figured out. But you see where I'm going with this? Like the game doesn't. Yeah, that should be good. Hold on. This is an entity. Yeah, you know what? I could just say this dot player token. And just make sure that this is always defined. So does not exist on type entity. Well, of course it wouldn't, because I need to cast it, but this is complaining because entity is missing the following property. I'm just going to do that. Like, we know that it's a player entity, so this should have the right methods to get the player token. I'll put a to do there. Like, I don't think this feels kind of weird, but now we're going to go ahead and default the player token to P, but I can overwrite that later on if I want to when we're constructing this, which I think we'll have to go back and in the constructor, if it's 1, okay, I might just be making this terrible, but what are we switching on? Code.to lowercase. I think it needs to be uppercase. Okay, also, you know what? I decided that I don't like what I'm doing here. I'm just going to go ahead and just keep this code unchanged. And then here, we will just use this. It would help if I actually did this in the right place. Aaron, does that seem correct? Am I making this complicated? Yeah, I think, Daria, I would agree. Like this shouldn't have to be updated when you add new entities. And I think what Daria is saying, like this should be an abstract that every entity must implement so it knows. Is that what you're saying? You people with your object-oriented programming. I'll put a to-do here as well. To-do, maybe the entity itself should be refactored to extend or implement the abstract method. Oh my gosh, I cannot type right now. And return the correct letter. Don't know why I made that all caps, but there you go. Let's take a step back. What am I doing? So if it's a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, we basically just make a same player class or entity or object. Then we pass it the player token, which is optional. If it's set, we go ahead and set that on the player itself. And then we should get that back, I think, when we do this. Still returning P here. Well, the game stopped, so that's good. So the end state, when the player dies, that actually worked. Pretty cool. Fix the get state method, return 1. This is what we're currently doing. It's still returning P, I think. Why would that be returning P? Did this not save? No, I mean, the code you wrote is fine, Aaron. The issue is that we're trying to apply like something that the code wasn't even meant to do. And so now we're at the stages of like a little bit of refactoring, a little bit of tweaking, redesigning. And we'll do that for, a while, and then we'll realize we probably should just copy and pasted the whole thing and just gutted all the unrelated. But if we keep adding a bunch of new stuff like landmines and grenades or something, it would be nice if they all shared the same code somehow, because that would be a lot to maintain if there's 2 separate code paths. But I think we're so close. Like, let me make sure I understand this. I'm creating a map. We could also do test-driven development. I think if we were to actually go to the bottom down here, let's just do some TDD. This is a great example of when test-driven development will help us out. Let's go down. I'm going to add a this game state should persist numbered players. Okay, so we'll say this will be a zombie in 1, and then we'll say game dot get state, and then we're going to expect, we already called that, that's cool. We're going to expect this to be 1. Boom. Now we can do test-driven development, so I'll say npm run test, and we will see that this one's failing because for some reason it keeps returning back if it contains multiple players. Oh, that might be it. Okay, well, let's delete that. Which is here. Yeah, if yeah, we might have to add some logic so that we don't have like duplicate ones and stuff. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Config has no zombies. What? Oh, I put a P up there. Okay, well the test passed, so I think it is keeping the ones around. Maybe I'm creating it with the P. I see you're defining these methods that interact with the DB and then execute these methods straight from the Convex dashboard. That's very cool. Is that functionality unique to Convex? We use Prisma at work, and it's always felt slow to define in server action. Load the UI, get the correct state in UI, then interact with your UI, triggering the server action we're testing. Yeah, I mean the whole mutations and actions and queries in Convex, like that's a Convex thing, right? If you're using Convex with Next.js, you end up not using any type of server actions at all. Although you didn't mention Next.js anywhere, you just said Prisma, so I don't know if you're even using Next.js. Completely unrelated to the current problem, but is everything in your game state a single character? Currently, yes, it is. Maybe that'll get more complicated over time. Are you passing P1 or 1? All right, stretch break. Hold on. Turn my thing off for this. I'm going to stretch my back. Okay. So again, where are we? We wrote a test. The test seems like it works fine. So where is this not working as we expect it to? What is this? Get out of here. The board state. We could potentially just console log that if we wanted to, or we could go and figure out in the data. We have data over here. I can go to multiplayer game. Okay, the state ended. One of those things where it's like, do I want to slow down and figure out what? Where's the map? Zombie hard-coded player token is a 1. I don't think I have P1 used anywhere in this code base now. I'm linking a player token to a model. And then I start with 1 to allow the player to move. You know, maybe we were looking at old logs. Maybe this worked perfectly fine, and we were just looking at old logs. That is something that has bit me in the butt multiple times. And it's just worth to just kick it off again. Just like try it one more time. We got Z1. Yeah, so we were just looking at old logs, and I got confused by that. Z1, Z1, and then it should kill. Uh-oh. Wait, why did it take so long to get there? Moved. Then he moved right. Oh no, he moved down. And then he moved right. And then he should have moved into the player and killed him, right? All right, see you, Josh. Thanks for joining. Anyway, whatever, it works. Probably a little bug there. I think I probably just got confused because I probably thought it was the player's turn. Anyway, I want to visualize this. I think also just getting something that you can visually see as it's playing through the game would be very useful. Am I on the latest main though? I think I did pull before this. Yeah, let's go to the to-dos. I think this works fine now. Display the multiplayer game board in the UI somewhere. So we could make a new app router route. We'll just call it multiplayer for right now. It's not truly like something you can multiplayer with, but we'll make a page. And then we want to basically, we could check out the watch page. Which one's the watch? An auth key. Wait, when I click the watch link, where does it take me? Oh, it's the landing page. Of course. So I'm going to ask myself, is there something in here I could just like reuse? Because honestly, what I don't want this leaderboard stuff. Leaderboard page, I don't care about that. Result. I want result. Visualizer. Result map. Okay, I should be able to reuse the visualizer somehow. Yeah, what I want to do here is we're going to put a multiplayer that the most verbose route ever, and we want to get the multiplayer game ID, which we can do that. Awesome. But now we have to call a query on Convex. So how do we do that? Also, use client. Don't forget that. Okay, so to get the multiplayer game and like watch it as it's playing through, we have this internal query which returns it back. Honestly, we could just call this a query. It could be public, doesn't matter. Over here though, we'll say API. There, now we can call this. So I can say use query API dot multiplayer game dot get multiplayer game, and we'll pass it the ID. This will have to be an ID that oh man, this will be glorious if this works. Potentially undefined. This is potentially undefined. So we don't want to do this until that's done loading. Are y'all with me? Y'all following along? So what we could do now is I'm going to go back and make a larger board. I have too many tabs open. You know, get rid of all these tabs. We need to make a larger board. I know I just deleted one just because I want to be able to watch this a little bit longer. There we go. So that zombie should go all the way down and then all the way to the right, I think. And why are we doing this? We're doing this because we should be able to come in here and kick off a multiplayer game. And I don't think it's being returned. I think we should probably just like return the game ID here. Give it a second to run. Get these tests, get rid of whatever. Let's run it. We got the game ID, and then we can go to multiplayer, put the game ID. Whoa, what did it do that for? No. What's it doing? Why is this not displaying? Okay, so we should be displaying this. Let me here's the zombie. It should update in a second. Yeah, there it goes. Interesting. So the visualizer is just not displaying anything. Because I have the actual board state and we see it update. Is it because it has a 1? Maybe that's why. Also, it would help if I had my console open. Probably errors happening. No, I just use my laptop keyboard. I have a MacBook. Render not ready to display 1, yeah. Huh. Yeah, sometimes that could be a weakness. Sometimes I just like start jumping into it and start coding out. Instead of sitting back and kind of like understanding truly what I need to do, but I just find I'm able to be more productive if I just like just do it. Just do it. You're going to figure stuff out along the way. So like why sit there and try to plan everything and then like 1 hour into your plan you realize your plan was wrong. Like just jump into it. New error config as no player. Visualizer, clear interval. Okay. This is the whole scrolling thing that is running. Is there a get state somewhere? Sorry, where does this visualizer? Oh, it's a canvas. Okay, it's a canvas. We get a canvas ref. That calls the renderer. I think this should display because when we start a game, right here, this makes a zombie game. And we updated this code to accept 1s. These make player entities, but in your code itself, it's abstracted away from the whole tokens and it just displays the player. But I also don't get why it dies when the player dies. Okay, so that's the first thing we got to fix is like this thing shouldn't fail. Maybe I should just use the renderer directly. Hold on. Maybe I can't use the renderer directly. No, the renderer is something that takes in a canvas. Start simulation. That should never have ran because I don't even show the controls. Oh, my neck. Hmm. Do I want to debug right now? I think I have to. Configure no players. No players. So it doesn't have a 0 or a 1. And I think we're trying to new up a zombie thing every single time. Or do we? It's a ref. So it should never initialize. By the way, Aaron, I think we typically just import useRef directly now. At least that's how I do it. So I'm going to try to keep that consistent. Unless you have a reason why we do like react.useRef. Typically you just import the thing directly. It's just less things you have to read, you know. Simulator. Current. Start the simulator. Is this thing smart enough to like... Yeah, the zombie's all the way at the bottom. It killed the player. Yeah, I don't think I should be reusing this. I think we need a component that just renders out the map, right? But I know you're adding logic to like do animations and sprites, so that's why we have to have the canvas. But it seems like this component is very coded in mind that it's going to run the simulation every time, and so it needs a valid map. But I wonder if instead... Yeah, where does it throw that error again? Here. It has no player. Player is equal to null. Renderer current, render simulator current. So the renderer takes in a simulator. I guess, I think, should a renderer know about the simulator? Doesn't it just need to know about the game state? Or like, what does it actually need to know about this? Like, I feel like this thing, it should just take in a 2D array, and that's it. Why does it need to know about the actual, like, the entire simulator? You know? Register the simulator. Or is that called items? Am I wrong, Aaron? From your perspective, do you think that the renderer needs to know anything about the simulator? Or should it just be able to like look up things and draw them? Like, what's this register stuff? Register background. Draw item, this dot items should animate. Draw item. Position to. Oh, is this the interpolation thing? That's pretty cool. Okay. Simulator.get all entities. Okay. Hold on, the visualizer, I think. Okay, let's just get a renderer going. Okay. And then when this component mounts, it makes one. Okay, so when this thing loads in and is defined and we haven't created the canvas yet, we go ahead and make a new renderer. I probably need to say canvas ref. This will probably be this can't be conditional. The cell size. Hard coded the 64. Okay, whatever. Also a string for some reason. Replay speed. I mean, technically we don't need that. All right, so now I kind of just picked the renderer out of that other page. When this component mounts, we initialize it. It points to the canvas. And I guess what we need to do is say render.current. render yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work, Aaron. Get all entities. The thing is we can't create a simulator. Because the maps, I don't know. Let me make sure this even loads first of all. Rendering more hooks than during the previous render. Oh. Okay, that made the canvas. Zombie survival. Oh, I see what you're doing. I think I get it. So the only thing you ever use from the simulator is get all entities. Honestly, like this thing. I guess I would say like, why can't we just have it take in the entities directly? And then this thing has no idea about the simulator at all, right? There. Now it the only thing it knows about is an array of entities. That's it. It doesn't need it about the simulator. It doesn't need it about anything else. Just taking some entities. Those should all be references to real objects. And so as those objects update, we should be able to render using them, right? So with that being said, what we could do is I think we still need a simulator though, right? And the reason we need the simulator is because we need all the entities. So I think we might be back to where we started. Like, can you just use the map component instead of visualizer? Renderer will probably not render anything as it loads async assets and it doesn't await for it to load, which means it will render empty canvas unless you cause an update. But for now, probably set timeout render will work. Hmm. What does map do again? I think the issue with the map component is that it's not going to show like the animations and stuff you added in. Like I want to use the canvas, but I don't want to use the map component. And like we need the simulator because the renderer doesn't know how to render anything unless it has an array of entities. We don't have the entities because we haven't created the simulation to create the entities. So it's like I think to get this working, like we have to allow this to not need players when we set it up. Either that or the renderer needs to be less needs to be able to, yeah, it needs the entities though, because how else is it going to do the animations that you have? This is where I don't know how that much about game development, so how to structure this properly is big as empty. Will this work if there is no player? This.player.dead. Honestly, I might just do this. Get all alive in. Who's Kobe? Just, I need to think about this. Like, this could potentially not be defined. I just need to see, like, how is this being used? Is a win. Hit players dead. Yeah, I just feel like I'm kind of like hacking stuff together at this point. I need to, like, I wanted to get it working at least before the stream ended. Is a win if there is no player or player is dead. Boolean. What is this complaining about? Is a win if the player is null or yeah, I don't know. We'll try this out. I'm not going to push this to main, by the way. It's just trying to see if I can get this to visualize real quick. Oh god, this thing needs a player too. Where'd that come from? Why is that complaint? All right, what's going on here? So what I changed was I modified a lot of the game logic to just allow a player to be null. Kind of goes against the original simulator, but we're trying to reuse the simulator in such a way that we can like, maybe I can just bring back the simulator now. Why is this complaining? Oh, I put it outside. Okay, so what we're gonna do is get the board, generate a simulator. Now the simulator won't crash. It also doesn't auto run. So we'll have like all the entities set up. But then I think what we could do is just like, hold on. We have the renderer. We created the renderer. But now, whenever we get a game state update, because this will be passed in from Convex itself as the pieces are moving around, we basically have to recreate the simulator every time. And then take the current renderer and just tell it to like redo this. Bro, I don't know. I feel like we're close. Why is this blank though? Map is inside your if statement. Yeah, I can check my Discord messages later off stream. You need to cause an update after assets are loaded to render. The game is a puzzle game. You can go check it out there. That's what we're working on. You need to cause an update after assets are loaded to render. Render is not waiting assets to load. How do you do that? I'm I'm guessing the visualizer does something like this. So you're saying there should be a bunch of assets that load in, but okay, hold on. Maybe I don't even understand how the renderer works. We called render, which should register all the entities and then draw them. Oh, I think it's called like survive the night. Oh yeah, there it is. Hey Aaron, can you re-explain what you said? You're saying that the assets, like this thing, where does it load in all the assets? It entity image looks at the entity and then tries to get the assets. What loads in assets? Load assets is a function. What calls this? The renderer calls this at some point. Inside of the constructor, I create a new renderer, so this should be loading all the assets, right? And then if I go to like all, it's definitely loading a bunch of assets in. So I have all these assets loaded. If multiplayer game is set, I go ahead and create a simulator and then I get all the entities from it. Yeah, the renderer constructor, the last line loads the assets. So yeah, I mean, it's working. I think, I just don't think it's displayed. Like, here's the canvas, which I don't know why it's so small. It would be nice if I can get this fully like working on a stream. That'd be cool. Do some debugging. We got the map. It should have created a map. Okay, that rendered something. Why is it working now? Was this a Next.js caching issue? I swear I've seen this so many times where you like add in a console log or a debugger and then all of a sudden like your app works again. Yeah, it's definitely a race condition. Why would this cause a race condition? Can you have async constructors? I don't think you can. So I might actually say async load assets. I'm sorry, what is load assets? Is that a function that's in this thing? It's an external function. Okay. Do I need to, is this the issue? I don't think this is the issue. This can't be it. No, the problem is that you do render, then the assets load, and then nothing is causing an update to draw them again. With debugger, you're going... I see. I see. Yeah, this is interesting. I think we could just do a dot then here, and I'll say set is initialized to true. And then down here, just do another use effect. And React is like the best, isn't it? And then once it is initialized, and I guess we also want to say if we have a multiplayer game, wow, that was crazy. Well, it's not that we need load assets before the renderer is constructed. We need to wait until all the assets finish before we call render. Because if you call render and there's like a bunch of non-existing images, it seems like the map just doesn't even work. It probably has like an if statement that fails early, maybe. Okay, anyway, this is cool. Let's test this out. We are making progress. I just want to center this real quick on the screen. So the way we can do that is just say flex, define center, and then we'll move this thing down. There we go. And maybe we can put a title here. I think someone made something called page title or something. What do these other pages look like? Oh, we have a page component. Ooh, cool. There. So yeah, what I could do is just kick off another thing. Hey, it works. Super slow. That's because we have that like 5-second wait. I don't think the animations are working though. Doesn't he have an idle animation? Why is he not idling? And also, like, when it updates, he just jumps down instantly. I don't know if they used to do that, or they used to, like, slide. Yeah, I'll make it a full-blown game production. He's getting closer to the player. Let's see what happens. Nice. It did it. That was crazy. I'm gonna check out a branch for this one. I'm gonna say add in multiplayer port. All right, that branch is out there. I'm gonna keep tweaking this probably, but I'm excited we got this working. I mean, it's working for the most part. I think there's some issues with animations. We'll have to look into. 1 second, just want to check something. Yeah, I wonder how we could reuse a simulator. Maybe it just needs a method that says like update all entities. Yeah, I don't know. At least it's displayed though, you know? Because it's almost like now the simulator doesn't exist. Because the game logic is being played by Convex itself, and then it just kind of like, maybe if the simulator had more fine-grained controls, so like simulator dot get player one dot shoot at, and then tell it to shoot at a zombie, and then Convex could basically just drive the like what methods it's going to call based on what the LLM outputs. Sounds like it would be hard. Yo, no joke, after this, I want to make like a multiplayer online zombie game. Like top-down shooter type of thing. Maybe like a base builder. I think it'd be fun. I'm just kind of like, I'm tired of all the other type of stuff I do on my channel. Like just keep on making new Next.js projects, and then it's like, need to shift my content a little bit to stay sane. Yeah, what are the next steps? Yeah, exactly, Aaron. I think the simulator should be able to be controlled externally in a sense. So like moving people, moving zombies, moving players, shooting players, throwing grenades. That needs to just be like, it's almost like we need two different things. Like there's a simulator, but then there's like an auto step simulator. Because determining like when to move the players, that lives externally in like different type of game logic. I don't know. Once you go game dev, you never go back. I mean, I've always wanted to make a game. I think back in high school, I was making a Java online game. We had everyone in our computer lab all connected to my server. It was a lot of fun. It was a super basic game. It's basically like a side platformer. Everyone could run around, and then when you get close to someone, you blew up. You could press a button to blow up, and then they would become on your team. And I kind of made that same thing last year in a sponsored video. I don't know if you guys saw that. I know Daria saw that. We had like Hathora, we had all this other stuff going. I might just expand on that. Oh, I also have the snowball game. Maybe the snowball game was Hathora. The other one was like a zombie tag game. Anyway, I'm probably just going to go more all in on this type of stuff. It's just more interesting. It's like real problem solving. Like, look how crazy this is. Now that I've messed up all this code. Yeah, we could try to have... Delete some of these console logs. Okay, this is like what's left. We need to allow the LLM to move the player. So how do we do that? I might do this for another. I think a 2-hour stream is good. Reach the point where I need to take a break. Might just chat with you all for like 5 minutes or something. Yeah. I seem to do that as well. Like last year I have a video about like a Halloween theme, and then I did a Christmas themed snowball game. Yeah, and also I think like I think everyone in our Discord, like we could probably build a really cool game together. It's just a matter of like having everyone stay dedicated to it, because most projects you start up and then within like 2 weeks everyone's gone, and then people are asking for like what to do next, and it's like we need people who don't need so much guidance. I would say like just play the game, think of something cool you could add to it, ask it in the Discord, and then if like people are like, yeah, that sounds cool, then like add it. I think what happens with this current project, people are waiting for like issues and tasks to be created, and it's like, no, just play the game. Like, what could we add to make this more enjoyable? And then have a discussion in Discord about it, and then someone goes off and you add that in. But it's hard to find like a lot of people who want to take ownership in like designing the game and adding stuff in, because I don't have time to do it. I like when a project first starts off, yeah, I can make some tasks and try to like get the overall vision. I don't know what I'm saying right now. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do next is I want to be able to ask the LLM, which we have code that does this already. It would literally just be like grabbing some of this code, refactoring a little bit, to either make it reusable or just copy and paste it. Because someone added in pricing for tokens, so that might be nice to like keep this reusable. I think this might be reusable. System prompt, user prompt, config, max tokens. Yeah, this is pretty reusable. I could just pass it whatever I want. Except for the response schema. This is expecting, like this has built-in gameplay logic to it, you know? Like it expects you to place blocks and expects you to where you're going to put the players. So yeah, I couldn't even reuse this because it's hard-coded to that old game. Like this is hard coded to the valid locations that you can place the players, not necessarily what are the valid locations that this player you're trying to move can move to. So honestly, for right now, this is the approach that I would recommend doing. It's just like copy and paste this whole thing with GPT-4. So we'd have to basically customize the user prompt. Config again. Max tokens, that's fine. Top P. Reasoning, zombie survival, clones the map, player coordinates, tries to place the player. So like this stuff would not even be necessary anymore. Result. Well, let me just get rid of these errors. Like I can show this. Yeah, that's true. Everything based on top simulation LLM. Do you think it's time to rewrite the starter kit? I do need to upgrade it. I do plan to update it. I don't think it'd be much to rewrite it. But yes, to answer your question, I think so. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is we'll take a step back. And close all this stuff. We have this thing that we're trying to implement. And in order to get this working, what we need to do is we need to basically get run multiplayer mod. This needs to know the current map so that the LLM can make intelligent decisions about where to move things. It needs to know the player that it's trying to move. So we could just do like the hard-coded player token. Probably good enough right now. Can I auto import this? Why isn't my auto importing working? Export function run multiplayer model. Recorded model ID. Okay, anyway, I guess I'll just import this. I don't know why it's not working. Model ID, a map, and prompt. And a retry. Why does it need a model ID? Run model. Oh, of course it needs a model ID, so it needs to know what to look up. If model ID is GPT-4o, which I think mine's a little bit different. I think I'm hard coding, what is model ID? Yeah, I might need to do a slug here instead. Okay, screw it. I'm just gonna hard code this one for right now. What is the prompt again? System prompt. Oh, those were like coming in based on active prompt. Oh, and I wish we didn't do that. That was probably a mistake. Okay, so the prompt is technically that's stored in the data. What is this new drop down they added? Oh. Yeah, the prompt will change because this is a completely different game. I'll have to rewrite all this prompt. So like to do, rewrite this prompt to work for multiplayer. This will have to change because now it's just who do you want to shoot at? And where do you want to move? If you do want to move. This would have to change a little bit, I think. Now find run model. Wait, that's kind of confusing. Why do we call run model down here? I feel like this is calling the wrong thing. Oh, this is a catch. If it, oh, this is a retry thing. Okay. Start my new job tomorrow, Cody. I haven't worked for someone else in 5 years. Okay, Josh. I've been working for other people for like a long time now, okay? It takes some of the load off of your brain to like not have to think about what to work on. Because they tell you what to work on. And that can be kind of nice. Just got recommended this live. What's being made here? It's a game, a puzzle game. It's all in TypeScript and React and Next.js. Okay. Probably need to take a break from this. But I think it's most of the stuff is there. I'm gonna have to like rethink all this. This valid locations. This needs to be changed to is there like a move positioned? Get valid locations. I'm gonna say valid move location. But then we'd also need to take in an entity here. Determine. Let's see if cursor can do this for me. Loop over all the, given the entity, find the valid up, left, right, down positions that are inside the map bounds and are not already occupied by something. Okay, make sure it's empty string. Use the directions class to check the directions. I don't know. Let's see if this can give us what we want. Position move. What is this, a vector? Yeah. All right, so it just basically checks up, down, left, right, and verifies that we're inside the board, and then check if the space is empty. And then, yeah, this seems like it's good. And then I'll delete these comments so no one knows I use AI to generate this. That's a very important step. You don't want people to make fun of you. So we're going to pass in, we need to know the player that we're trying to move. Which, is now called player token. Is there something that already exists like this? Map, flat, find cell. There. Okay, so this should get the player that we want to move. If this is null, then like, should probably just throw an error. And then over here, I'm gonna swap these. Call this valid move locations, and then that should use the valid move locations to move the player. You know, I should probably tell it move directions. Whatever, move location is probably fine. Okay, this pricing stuff, I'm gonna get rid of it for right now. Can I get rid of it, or is this required? Prompt tokens, output tokens. Yeah, I don't want this right now. Too much. All right, so this thing needs to return a model handler. All right, let's focus. So what we're trying to do, I think the prompt needs to change a little bit. I have to go through all these and change the prompting a little bit, and then that goes away. Anyway, I might call it a wrap for right now. Let me add this stuff in. Yuki Dookie? No, I don't remember you, but welcome back. Are you using AI? Sometimes. Well, in the game, yeah, we're using LLMs. It's like, it's Clack, I think it's a Clack, try Clack app or something. There's already a function that finds valid moves. Check player class. If anyone wants to contribute to this project, you can join my Discord. But it's getting hard to like think of tasks for people to work on. So as a community, you need to like find ways to contribute to the project. Are you encrypting the prompts? I am not. There's PvP. Yeah, I can check to see. Right now we're using 4.0 mini, I believe. What does encryption help with? Does it make it run faster? All right, so yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Been going for 2.5 hours. I'm getting tired, but we made some good progress. We now have almost worked out getting the multiplayer aspect of this working. There's still a lot of work I'll have to do to get this working, but it was nice to see that we have a way to visualize it in the UI. The game logic runs and it updates the pieces, and now it's just a matter of allowing the LLM to move the player around and also allow the player to shoot at whatever zombie he wants to shoot at. Might do another live stream on this, maybe not. Maybe I'll just work on it in my spare time and try to get it out there and make a video about it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the stream. And lastly, this stream and the project is sponsored by Convex, which is the backend that we're using for all the logic and all this other stuff. So definitely go check it out. They have a lot of built-in features, like vector searching if you want to do some type of like talk to your PDF app. Like this is great. They have cron jobs built in, which we're using on this project to kick off these AI models every so often. Files, you can store files. You can basically, it has a built-in database, so you don't have to like spin up Postgres or anything. I like it a lot, and it's been really fun working with it to try to build out this project. So go check it out. It's convex.dev. And other than that, I mean, like join my Discord if you guys want to talk about this project more or contribute to it. We'll see how we can maybe have you work on something. And can I show a quick demo of what? Of the project? By the way, this, okay, I guess you're asking for the project. This is the project that we have. You go to survivethenightgame.com. You can go and play through different levels. Let me sign in first of all. There we go. I'm signed in. And if I want to go and try to beat any of the levels that have been submitted, like I could try this one. And I'll place some blocks. The landmine stuff, we need to change up a little bit. But there you go. I have beat that level, and then I can go to the next night and try to beat this one as well. Place a landmine here. I'll place 2 blocks here, and it should pass this level too. Too easy. All right, let's do this one. I think the zombie will move this way first. A lot of these levels we need to turn off the landmine because all these levels were designed without the landmine feature. So that's something that someone could work on if you want to, is like when we create a map, we need to be able to turn off some of these things. And based on if they're turned on or off, we need to change how we prompt the LLMs to either use them or not. So yeah, that's something someone can work on. All right. Yeah, I can try to address these in a little bit, but